All right, welcome back to MGD 111. We're going to look at some more basic adjustments that we can do to an image. Today we're going to take a look at, under Image, Adjustments. These are kind of fun. There's one called Invert. What do you suppose that one does? Does it turn it upside down? What does it do? Well, it creates a photo negative. Now, some of you may be too young to have ever shot on film, but if you ever shot color film, this is what the negative would look like for this exact picture. It's kind of a neat thing to be able to have that. This works well with grayscale images too, and you can create some really neat effects that way. So just keep that one in mind. Invert, sometimes that turns out to be a pretty cool thing. And if you want to make something look like a negative, well, there you go. Let's undo that. Let's go to Image, Adjustments, and Posterize. Now this one's pretty cool. Posterize takes the image and finds groups, let's say this water, and you tell it how many colors to break that part of the picture into. So it has this overall blue tone down here. Right now our level is 4. So it's breaking that blue into this dark green, sort of a brownish, a purple, and a turquoise color. Around here it's adding a little gray color to it. And it's adding these effects. Now it's a very artistic effect. The cool thing is if we go with a lower number, let's say 3 or 2, you can't go to 1. 1 would just make it a solid black or solid white picture. And by the way, you can use the up and down buttons on your keyboard to go through this. But we can create a really cool looking picture. Now, bear in mind the mountains and the sky in the background sort of disappeared when we did that. But the cool thing is, you know, we can create some really neat effects here. The only problem is the higher we get with this, the more it just kind of looks like a regular photo. In fact, if you take the scale all the way up to 255, again, don't worry about what they're measuring. Basically, you have created what is the equivalent of the regular picture. But if you stay down kind of low here in the 10 or below in Posterize, you can get some kind of cool effects here. Again, this isn't something you'd want to use a lot, but sometimes you're given a terrible photo and you need to do something artistic with it. This can be kind of a fun way to make that work. So I'm going to click Cancel there. One other thing I want to show you in this particular lesson is Image, Adjustments, Photo Filter. Now you may have noticed that there's a filter menu up here at the top of the page. This has nothing to do with that. That's a whole separate chapter we're going to study a few weeks from now. But what this does is it creates what's called a filter that covers the entire picture. So if I were to select, and again make sure Preview selected, it defaulted to Warming Filter. If I select Red, you'll notice that it kind of added a reddish hue to my picture. I can also control the density of how much color it's going to put in there. In fact, I'm going to pump that up so you can really see the overall effect. But what it does is it adds a wash of a particular color over a picture. Now that may look kind of strange, but I tell you, I've used this picture a lot. I mean, look at that. We had this overcast sky, and I added 52% blue, and suddenly it looks like a much sunnier day. You can also do one called Sepia, which gives it that old-timey look. That's a really nice one. That's something you used to have to do several steps to get to. So they have all these preset ones, Deep Emerald, and again, you want to mess around with the density of these things. But I use this one a lot if I have a picture of a bunch of people on a hot summer day who are kind of brightly lit and I need to kind of give them a little skin tone, or if it's a cloudy day and I need to kind of pump up the color a little bit. You'll find that the warming filters and the cooling filters can really do wonders for you. The other thing you can do too here is where it says color, notice we have use filter. You can click on color and then click on the square and hey, this looks familiar, doesn't it? You can pick any color under the spectrum here and it'll preview it as you go through it. So that's kind of neat. So I can click OK, and again I can mess with the density here. So if there's a particular shade I wanted to hit, let's say I'm working for a company like FedEx and they wanted to add their purple hue to all of these pictures, I could do something like that. So this is a really useful thing, not just for artistic features, but for just making a picture look a little more vibrant and lifelike. So practice with this one. I'm going to click Cancel here again, but you're going to want to play around with that on your own, I know. So we've got a few more adjustments we're going to take a look at, and then we're going to move on to some other stuff.